We'll wait for a few people to jump on, but it's story time today. Oh man, this story is crazy. Well, I think it's crazy. What do you think, Pauline?
It's pretty crazy.
And it happened a week or two ago, but it was pretty wild. So we thought we'd share it with everyone. For those who don't know who we are, we're Mitches on the Horizon. We're a family of 4 that is spending a year traveling around Southeast Asia. So we're currently in Malaysia at the moment, in Penang. Love it here. Great food, obviously, and we're here for a few weeks. But what we're going to talk about today is what happened to us on the way from Ipoh to Cameron Highlands. For those who don't know, Cameron Highlands is up in the mountains. It's a lot cooler than Ipoh, and we wanted to visit Cameron Highlands. So we organised 5 days over there. So we went to Cameron Highlands and we went and checked it out. So what happened was we hired a car through SoCar. So for those who don't know what SoCar is a company that does like crowdsourced vehicles over here in Malaysia. So we hired a SoCar, checked it out. Everything looked fine. Got the SoCar, started driving up to Cameron Highlands. So we're driving along. We're about 30, 40 kilometers into the trip.
Mind you, before this, we also had a sick child.
Oh, yes, we did, yes.
We nearly vomited on the side of the road. So the day isn't going great to start off with.
Yes.
So that's just another chink in the armor for the day. But this is the next worst thing. Yeah.
Yep. So we're driving along up to Cameron Highlands. And all of a sudden, we're about 30 kilometers in, there's a police checkpoint. And I'm like, okay, well, we got an international driver's license. We should be okay.
Yeah.
So we get to the police checkpoint. And guys, if you're watching and you're from Malaysia, tell me about your experience with the police here. I don't know if this was just us and it was a one-off.
Because we're tourists.
But let us know if you've had trouble with the police too, because I'm just genuinely curious. Anyway, we get to this police checkpoint. They've blocked off the whole road. And they basically pull us over, wave us down, pull us over. So we give them my international driver's license and my driver's license themselves, and they go and check, and they go, "Oh, you were speeding." I was like, "Well, I wasn't, but how can I argue?"
Yeah.
So anyway, they take my license and the international license and walk off. Come back and go, "Well, you were 20 kilometers over the speed limit. That's a $300 fine." No, a 300 ringgit fine.
$100 Australian fine.
And I was like, well, no, I can argue this, you know, or whatever. They said we need to go to the police station or whatever. Anyway, so what actually happened was, that was one part of it. They said I was speeding, and clearly I wasn't, because we were stuck behind a truck. Then what actually happened was we got to, the police officer was asking us, and then he basically walks around the car and goes, "Oh, your registration's out of date." I was like, "What do you mean?"
The sticker in the windscreen didn't have the right date on it. So
the sticker in the windscreen didn't have the sticker in the windscreen didn't have the right date in it. And I said to the police, "Well, I'm sure it's registered. And can't you just look on your computer?" No, and they're like, "No computer, car's not registered. You have to leave it on the side of the road.
Get out right now.
Get out right now and walk." And we're 40 kilometers from the nearest anything in the mountains. And he's like, "You got to get out." And I've got the kids in the car, Pauline's in the car.
Liam's not feeling well.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a good thing.
And so I'm like, "What do we do? Can't you?" Because I'm sure it's registered. So we're trying to contact SoCar to see what was going on.
With no internet or terrible reception, because we're 40 k's out of Ipoh and just started getting into the mountains. So it's not going well.
And so I'm like calling SoCar, had a look at the sticker myself, and it was out of date, but the car was registered. So anyway, I'm sitting there panicking because we had no idea what to do at this point. We don't know Malaysian road rules.
Yeah.
Anyway, the police comes back and he basically goes, "Oh, you need to pay us now, and it's a 300 ringgit fine." And at that point, we had no idea what we could do, because he was basically just saying to us, "You either get out of the car or you pay us."
Yeah.
So anyway, we're getting money out. And at this point, I'd made a little bit of banter with him. And he's like, "Oh, you're nice people. You just give me 150 ringgit.
In small notes,
and I'll let you go." So anyway, Pauline got 150 ringgit out, which is like $50.
$50
out of Pauline's wallet, and gives it to the police officer, snuck in.
No, he did it as he hands your license back to you. You had to put the money in his hand. So there was this license in hand and money just Whoosh, so no one else knew.
Yeah, and it was like a real like clandestine.
He's like, not now, not now.
Yeah, he
Not
waited
now.
for cars to go past. Anyway, gave him this money. He sent us on our way, and I was like, wow, okay, so we've just been shaken down by the police for a bribe because we've traveled through Asia before. We've never had this issue.
No.
You know, we've driven all over the place. We've done this. This is the first time we've actually been shaken down by the police for a bribe. And now, I suppose where this is going from, and again, guys, if you're watching this, leave it in the comments. Have you experienced this before? Because I don't hear it's very common here in Malaysia, but I'd love to hear people's thoughts. Anyway, I was absolutely livid. I was not only pissed that
He was pissed.
yeah,
Like,
not
he
only pissed that we had to pay the bribe,
so angry.
but I was pissed that I paid so much because I reckon I could have negotiated him down.
Yeah.
50,
Even
60.
just to 50.
Yeah, to 50. But we were so like worried that we're going to get left on the side of the road. So we ended up paying it. And all along the way, I'm like, this is because there's no reception up there. I'm like livid. So the first thing we did when we got to Cameron Highlands, once we got settled in, is I called SOCAR. Normally we would negotiate. Yeah, see, Stevie, you shouldn't even have to negotiate, right? Like, but yes, we paid a full 150 ringgit, and I think the police officer had sympathy for us.
Eyes just lit up. Like,
Yeah, I think he had sympathy for us because we were going to pay him 300, and I think he felt bad at that point. So Stevie, great comment on TikTok there. So anyway, what we got to. I told him don't have much money. Show him my water. Yeah, a wallet. So it's funny you say that, Stevie, because that's what I did on the way back. I said, Pauline, give me a 50 ringgit note. I'm just going to put that in my wallet, and then when he asks, I'm going to show him. So we had the right idea, Stevie. It was just at the time we were panicking. We had no idea what to do at that point. So we got to Cameron Highlands, and the first thing I did is got on the phone to SOCAR. I messaged them and said, you guys, we've just been shaken down by the police. You need to ring us. So anyway, they called us, and I spoke to the people at SOCAR and blasted them. I said, look, I understand that, we were going to have to pay a bribe anyway, but you guys just gave him the ammunition to get so much money out of us because the sticker wasn't right. Yeah. And he's like, oh, they can't do that. I can't do that. And I was like, well,
he did.
We know they can't do that. Legally, they're not supposed to do that, but they did. And they got the bribe out of us. And I said, you guys, I'm so upset at SOCAR because you guys gave them the reason to hit us so hard. Because if it was just a speeding fine, I probably would have been like, whatever, negotiate it down. But we didn't know if we had to leave the car there. We didn't know the rules. So they really had us like cornered. We had nothing. We didn't know what to do. So anyway, so I'm on SOCAR pinging them and like basically just saying that we were so, you put my family through undue stress. What are we going to do about the 150 ringgit? And I didn't think much of that. Yeah. So anyway, I sent them an email. After and just reiterated it. Now, I have a background in marketing, right? So our business is a digital marketing agency. So what I did is I found the email of the CEO of the company. So
the LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, and the LinkedIn profile of the CEO of SOCAR. And basically what I did is I wrote everything that we spoke about in the case number, and I sent it to the CEO as well as the help desk. And about 20 minutes later, I know, Steve, we got tourist rates, right? But we got so we emailed the CEO of SOCAR, and about 20 minutes later, we had this head of marketing or whatever call us, Melvin, and he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear what happened, and this is not right. Here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to give you 200 ringgit." So SOCAR gave us 200 ringgit. So we actually made 50 ringgit off the whole situation, but they basically sent us the screenshot of it being registered because like I said to Melvin, you had a month to put the sticker on and you didn't do it. Yeah. And that's the reason it happened. And he's like, well, what we're going to do as a gesture is give you 2 Malaysian POLICE. Look, it's, we're only new to the place, right? So we're still learning all this stuff. So the SOCAR gave us 200 ringgit as compensation for the bribe. So that was nice of them to do. And they also sent us the screenshot of the registration of the car or the car tax. So anyway, spent an awesome time in Cameron Highlands. Really beautiful, cold, awesome up there. Anyway, we're driving back. And at this point, I'm so scared because we're driving back. I'm like, they know, because the police asked us when we were coming back. Yeah, SoCal was nice. Well, I think it was because I emailed the CEO.
Yes.
I think if I hadn't emailed the CEO, I don't think we would have got the help.
No.
But when you go to the top, and I really laid it on thick and said, look, we're thinking of leaving Malaysia over this. Pauline and the kids are scared, and it was your fault because of the sticker. I think they listened. But yeah, anyway, we're driving back from Cameron Highlands back to Ipoh, and at this point, the whole 60 kilometers or whatever it is, I was so scared. I was so scared. Anytime I seen anything that was looked like a police stop, I was like panicking. So anyway, we got all the way through the mountains and we got down into the outskirts of Ipoh, and the manager from SoCal called us. Melvin called us up again and asked how we were going. And we were like, oh yeah, it's been good. We haven't seen any police yet. Literally, as we were on the call with him, there was a police checkpoint. So I said, Melvin, there's a police checkpoint up ahead. I've got to go. And he's like, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. This is the guy from SoCal. Anyway, so there was like 20 cars in the line at this police checkpoint. And we were waiting there and we're waiting there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to happen again, because there was cars getting pulled off. And because they were full of cars that they pulled over, they just waved us through, thankfully. They did the old like that, which is like wave us through. How you doing? It's in Gaming. Thanks for joining in through YouTube there. Anyway, they waved us through. And so Melvin called up again and asked how we were going. And I said, thank God we got through. They didn't ask for anything. They just waved us through.
Yeah, we just went on our merry way.
So, it was a pretty harrowing experience. So, lesson learned, and this is for if there's anyone from Australia or anyone from another country that's going to come to Malaysia that's watching this, here's our advice. You're gonna get the police pulling you over. Yeah. It's just part of what happens here.
It's not like Australia.
It's not like Australia.
At all.
Not like Australia at all. Like the first mistake I made is I should have waited for them to ask for my license, because the thing is they had my license and my international driver's license. They held on to it until I gave them the bribe. Yeah. So I had no idea. What should have tipped me off that he wanted a bribe was he basically said I was speeding and it was 300 ringgit. So he goes, so how much can you pay? That's what he said to me. It should have clicked at that point that he was wanting a bribe. And I was like,
we just didn't even think about it.
No, I didn't think about it. And, it is what it is. But, you're going to have to pay bribes here. And like Stevie just said, if you're going to pay the bribe, really try and negotiate what you pay. Keep small notes in your wallet. Keep like 30 ringgit, 40 ringgit in your wallet and go, well, look, this is all I've got. Yeah. This is all I got. The other thing we learned too is that the police have no right to look in your car, which is the same as Australia. But also, if your car's not registered, they can't take it off you. Yeah, they've got to give you a summons to go to a police station. So we learnt that in this trip. So Malaysian police are nice. Don't worry, they're human as well, and don't be scared. Well, yeah, it's funny you say that, because you are right. Like in retrospect, I think I was unnecessarily scared. Yeah. But as a foreigner coming to a country that you don't know the rules of, so like if a police pulls me over in Australia, I know exactly what I can say, what I can't say, and what our rights are. Yeah. But I didn't know that because the thing was I wasn't speeding. But how do you explain that to someone that doesn't speak English very well? So I was sitting there going, well, I wasn't speeding. I didn't know he was after a bribe. Yeah. I just assumed that he was thinking I was speeding. And I was like, no, I wasn't speeding. I was stuck behind a truck. But yeah, it was very hard to explain that to the police officer. But yeah, so we learned that now. The other thing we learned is that, SoCal has a lot of faults. It's not the greatest company in the world, system in the world. It's buggy and they don't answer your support calls. If you struggle, talk to the CEO. The CEO is very contactable. Yeah. So I found that worked for us. We had no evidence that we got the bribe, that we had to pay the bribe, obviously. But they were that concerned and they were that apologetic that they gave us the money anyway, which I thought was a nice gesture.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, so that's what's been happening. We got scared out of our wits by the police. Cameron Highlands was really nice. So Cameron Highlands is up in the mountains, and it's about 15 degrees cooler than mainland, like in the rest of Malaysia. It was awesome
like
up there.
20 odd degrees. It was amazing.
It was beautiful up
then
there.
we come to Penang and it's like 35. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah,
what are we doing?
So yeah, so we're in Penang for 2 weeks, and then we're going to do a day trip pretty much to Singapore, stay overnight.
Yeah, stopover. Yeah.
Yep, and stop over so we can have another 90 days in Malaysia, and then we're off to East Malaysia.
Woo!
So we're going to start in Kuching, and we're going to start in Sarawak, and we're going to look at East Malaysia because we've been there before and it's beautiful, and we want to show the boys East Malaysia. But guys, thank you so much for the questions and the comments. It's nice to know that it wasn't just us that had to pay this bribe. There's other people that have had to pay this as well. It's really nice to know that. And yeah, it just makes it more engaging. We're going to try and do these lives more often, just as we have stories and things that aren't really YouTube worthy.
Weird adventures.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. And guys, we'll catch you all next week.
Woo!
We'll catch you all on the horizon too.